The first strike. The mining station Horizon's edge hung in the silence of space, its rotating sections catching the light of 3 distant suns. Commander Marcus Webb stood at the observation deck, watching asteroid processing drones return from their daily harvest. 12,000 people called this place home, families who had traveled from Earth to make their fortunes extracting rare minerals from the belt. Children played in the recreation centers while their parents worked the refineries. Engineers maintained the life support systems that kept everyone breathing. Scientists studied the strange rock formations that seemed to defy everything they knew about geology. Marcus had been station commander for 7 years, and in all that time, nothing more dangerous than equipment failure had threatened his people. The defense grid was maintained out of regulation, not necessity. Nobody expected war this far from the core systems. Nobody thought anyone would care about one small mining station on the edge of human territory. The sensors began screaming at 0600 station time. Security officer Lisa Chen was first to notice the readings. 18 ships appeared from nowhere, dropping out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. They were unlike anything in the human databases. Long and angular, built like daggers designed to cut through space itself. Their hulls shimmered with energy that made the sensors struggle to maintain lock. Marcus reached the command center within minutes. "What are we looking at?" he asked, his voice steady despite the ice forming in his stomach. Lisa's hands moved across her console, pulling up every detail the sensors could capture. Unknown design, unknown origin. Weapon systems are active and targeting us. They're powering up for an attack. No communication attempts on any channel. Marcus opened station-wide communications. All personnel to emergency shelters immediately. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. The corridors filled with running feet as 12,000 people abandoned their posts and homes and workstations. Parents carried children. The elderly helped each other toward the reinforced sections deep in the station's core. Marcus watched the evacuation proceed with disciplined urgency, proud of his people even as death approached. The alien ships opened fire without warning or demand or declaration of intent. Beams of purple energy tore through the station's outer rings. Metal vaporized instantly. The atmospheric shields failed in sections, venting precious air into the void. Screams echoed through the communication systems as people died in compartments that became tombs. The defense grid activated automatically, firing missiles and rail gun rounds that splashed harmlessly against alien shields. Human weapons might as well have been thrown rocks for all the damage they caused. Marcus ordered a distress signal sent on all frequencies. This is Horizon's edge under attack by unknown hostile forces. Coordinates attached. Casualties mounting. Requesting immediate assistance. He repeated the message himself, his voice calm and clear, giving casualty estimates and tactical data. He described the alien ships in detail so others might prepare. He recorded everything the sensors captured, streaming it all outward into space, hoping someone would receive it in time to matter. The aliens landed boarding parties after the initial bombardment. Strange creatures emerged from transport craft, standing 7 feet tall on 4 legs with upper bodies almost humanoid. Their armor gleamed like polished obsidian. Their weapons fired concentrated plasma that burned through bulkheads and people with equal ease. They moved through the damaged sections methodically, hunting survivors with practiced efficiency. Security teams tried to resist. Former military personnel grabbed whatever weapons remained functional and made their stands in the corridors. Lisa Chen organized a defense at Shelter Entrance 12, where 300 civilians cowered behind sealed doors. She and 4 others held that position for 17 minutes against alien soldiers who had been fighting wars before humans discovered electricity. They killed 2 attackers before overwhelming firepower ended their resistance. Marcus watched it happen from the command center. Surveillance feeds showed the aliens moving deeper into the station. They killed everyone they found without hesitation or mercy. Children died. Medical staff died trying to treat the wounded. Teachers died shielding their students. The evacuation shelters that were supposed to protect against accidents offered no defense against directed energy weapons. The command center was one of the last positions to fall. Marcus continued broadcasting until alien soldiers breached the doors. Engineering Officer Thomas Wright died defending the communication array, buying precious seconds. Navigator Sarah Kim burned the station's computer core to prevent the aliens from accessing Earth's location. Marcus kept speaking into his communicator even as plasma fire filled the room, describing the attack in detail, begging for someone to remember what happened here. The message lasted 4 minutes before cutting to static. By then, Horizon's Edge was dying. Life support failed in section after section. The remaining population of 8,000 souls suffocated or froze or burned as the station tore itself apart. The aliens departed as suddenly as they arrived, leaving behind nothing but wreckage and corpses and questions that demanded answers. The destroyer Relentless arrived 16 hours later. Captain James Morrison stood on his bridge and stared at the ruins of what had been a thriving community. Debris fields spread across thousands of kilometers. Bodies floated in the void, frozen faces locked in final expressions of terror and pain. The station's main hull was cracked open like an egg, its interior exposed to vacuum. They recovered the distress signal from an emergency beacon still broadcasting in the wreckage. They listened to Marcus Webb describe the attack in detail. They heard his voice remain steady even as death surrounded him. They watched sensor recordings of alien ships unlike anything humanity had encountered. They counted the dead and found 12,000 names that would need to be added to memorial walls. Captain Morrison was a veteran of the Colonial Defense Force, 30 years of service protecting human settlements across 17 star systems. He had seen pirates and smugglers and the occasional territorial dispute. He had never seen anything like this. This was not theft or intimidation. This was annihilation performed with cold precision by an enemy humanity had never known existed. The evidence was clear. The alien ships had arrived with one purpose. They came to kill every human they found and destroy everything humans had built. No demands were made. No warnings given. No mercy shown. It was genocide performed as casually as humans might clear an unwanted pest from their homes. Morrison filed his report with Earth Command and prepared his crew for the possibility of further attacks. Intelligence Officer David Park analyzed every piece of sensor data, building profiles of the alien vessels and weapons. Medical Officer Rachel Stone examined the bodies recovered from the wreckage, documenting the weapons' effects for future defense planning. Every crew member understood they were gathering information that might save lives in the war that was surely coming. On Earth, the news hit like a physical blow. 12,000 dead. An entire station annihilated by an enemy nobody knew existed. Images from Horizon's Edge filled every screen on the planet. People watched Marcus Webb's final broadcast, heard his voice stay calm while hell consumed his station, saw the dedication of people who died at their posts trying to save others. The reaction was immediate and visceral. Grief turned to rage turned to determination. World leaders convened emergency sessions. Military commanders reviewed defense capabilities and found them inadequate. Scientists examined the alien technology captured in sensor recordings and realized humanity was facing an opponent with capabilities far beyond current human achievement. President Elena Vasquez addressed the United Nations Security Council in a chamber filled with representatives from every nation on Earth. "We have been attacked," she said, her words carrying to billions watching around the world. "An enemy we did not know existed has destroyed one of our settlements and murdered 12,000 of our people. They offered no communication, no warning, no mercy. They simply killed everyone they found." She paused and looked around the chamber. Every face showed the same expression. The same anger. The same determination. Some of you will suggest we attempt diplomatic contact. Some will argue for defensive measures only. I understand these positions. But I have watched Marcus Webb die defending his station. I have seen children burned alive by alien weapons. I have counted 12,000 bodies floating in space. Diplomacy requires two parties willing to communicate. Defense alone invites further attacks. So I propose a different path. We find out who did this. We find out where they came from. We find out if they intend to do it again. And if they do, we make certain they pay a price that will make them regret ever learning humans exist. The gathering storm. The vote was unanimous. Every nation committed resources to what they called the Horizon Initiative. Within weeks, every shipyard in human space began retrofitting for military production. Research facilities redirected efforts toward weapons development. Intelligence services combined their resources into a single unified command structure focused on finding the enemy. General Victor Kane was appointed Supreme Commander of the initiative. He was a blunt man who had risen through ranks by winning battles others thought unwinnable. He stood before a gathering of admirals and generals and scientists and spoke with characteristic directness. "We are not ready for this fight," he said flatly. "Our weapons are inadequate. Our ships are too slow. Our soldiers are trained for peacekeeping, not warfare against an enemy with superior technology." The room remained silent. Everyone present knew he was right. The alien ships had brushed aside human defenses like they were nothing. Their weapons had killed with terrifying efficiency. Their soldiers had moved through the station like trained professionals who had fought countless battles before humans even reached space. "So we change," Victor continued. "We build better ships. We develop better weapons. We train harder and smarter. We learn everything we can about our enemy and we use that knowledge to make them bleed." He pulled up projections on the screens behind him. "This will take time. Probably 2 years minimum. Maybe more. But when we're done, we'll be ready." The shipyards of Luna began construction of the new Vengeance-class battlecruisers. Chief Engineer Amanda Ross oversaw designs that incorporated everything learned from analyzing the alien attack. Traditional human ships had prioritized speed and efficiency. The Vengeance class prioritized one thing above all others, the ability to hurt things that thought they were untouchable. Amanda stood in the construction bay watching the first keel laid. The ship taking shape before her was massive, 3 times larger than anything previously built. It would carry enough firepower to level a city and armor thick enough to survive sustained assault. Most importantly, it would carry the new weapons systems being developed in laboratories across the solar system. Dr. Robert Chong led the weapons development team working on what they called Project Hammer. The alien shields had stopped every conventional weapon humans possessed. Energy weapons were useless. Missiles were intercepted. Rail guns achieved nothing. Robert's team needed something different. Something the aliens would not expect. They found their answer by going backwards in technology. Nuclear weapons had been abandoned for space combat decades ago. Too slow, too easy to intercept, too much collateral damage. But Robert's team was not building conventional nuclear weapons. They were building shaped nuclear charges that focused blast energy into concentrated beams. They were building weapons that could be deployed from drones and detonated at close range. They were building bombs that would tear through shields designed to stop energy weapons by simply overwhelming them with raw destructive power. The first test vaporized an asteroid the size of a small moon. The second test punched through 6 feet of hardened titanium armor. The third test created a thermal bloom visible from Mars. Military observers watched the demonstrations with savage satisfaction. The aliens had superior technology, but sometimes the simplest solution was the most effective. Sometimes you just needed a bigger hammer. While engineers built ships and scientists developed weapons, intelligence services worked to find the enemy. Captain Morrison's sensor recordings were analyzed by specialists who studied every detail of the alien vessels. The energy signatures were unique. The hull composition contained elements found in only 3 known star systems. The attack pattern suggested military training consistent with species that had been spacefaring for centuries. Intelligence Director Sarah Thompson coordinated a network of listening posts and scout ships deployed along the edge of human space. They monitored communication frequencies and watched for any sign of alien activity. For 6 months, they found nothing. The enemy had struck once and disappeared completely. It was as if they had never existed. Then a scout ship commanded by Lieutenant Michael Torres detected something unusual near the Kepler 442 system. Energy readings consistent with the alien ships appeared briefly before vanishing. Michael altered course and moved closer, keeping his ship dark and silent. He drifted through space watching and waiting and hoping his sensors would capture something useful. 3 weeks later, he found them. An alien fleet of 47 ships gathered near a red dwarf star. Michael watched for maximum sensor range as alien vessels conducted what appeared to be training exercises. They practiced formation flying and combat maneuvers and coordinated firing patterns. They were preparing for something. They were getting ready for war. Michael recorded everything his sensors could capture and transmitted the data back to Earth using encrypted channels. The transmission took 3 days to reach Sol system. When it arrived, Sarah Thompson called an emergency meeting of the command staff. "We have their location," she said without preamble. "At least part of their fleet. 47 ships currently stationed near Kepler 442. Sensor analysis suggests they've been there for at least 2 months." Her expression was grim. "They're training. They're preparing. And based on their current activities, they're preparing to attack more human settlements." General Kane studied the tactical displays. 47 ships against the 300 we've built so far. Not impossible odds. He looked around the room. "How ready are we?" Fleet Admiral Chen Wu answered. "First wave of Vengeance-class battlecruisers completed last month. We have 16 operational with weapons systems installed and crews trained. Another 34 ships of various classes ready for deployment. Total available forces number 50 capital ships plus support vessels." He paused. "It's not enough for an assault, but it's enough for a defensive action." Victor shook his head. "Defense is not what we're planning." He pulled up star charts showing human space and the alien position. "They hit us first. They killed 12,000 people. Now we know where they are." He looked at each person in the room. "I want to hit them back. Not to conquer. Not to occupy. Just to hurt them. Make them understand that attacking humanity has consequences." The room erupted in discussion. Some argued for waiting until more ships were ready. Others wanted to strike immediately before the aliens attacked again. Scientists worried about engaging an enemy whose capabilities were still largely unknown. Military commanders wanted revenge for Horizon's Edge. President Vasquez attended the meeting remotely, her image displayed on the main screen. She listened to every argument before speaking. "How many people do we risk in this attack?" she asked Victor directly. "Probably 20,000 military personnel," he replied. "The first assault wave plus support crews. If things go wrong, we could lose them all. And if we do nothing? The aliens attack another settlement. Another 12,000 dead. Maybe more. And we'll still be sitting here wondering if we should have acted sooner." Elena was quiet for a long moment. The weight of 12,000 deaths already hung on humanity's collective conscience. The thought of more settlements burning while humans prepared was unbearable. But throwing away lives in a poorly planned revenge strike would help nobody. "Launch a reconnaissance in force," she said finally. "Take enough ships to defend yourselves but not so many that losing the fleet would cripple our defenses. Gather more intelligence. Probe their capabilities. If an opportunity to strike presents itself, take it. But don't sacrifice our people just to satisfy our need for revenge." Victor nodded slowly. It was the right decision. The smart decision. And it gave him the authorization to begin operations. He turned to Admiral Chen. "Prepare the first fleet for deployment. 50 ships. 20,000 personnel." He looked at the star charts again. "We're going hunting. The fleet assembled at staging points across human space. 16 Vengeance-class battlecruisers formed the core, supported by destroyers and frigates and troop carriers. Every ship was equipped with the new nuclear weapons systems. Every crew had trained for months in the simulators. Every soldier understood they might be heading into a battle humanity could not win. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the battlecruiser Retribution and watched his fleet take formation. He was a career military officer who had spent 40 years serving in peacetime roles. He had never expected to command a fleet preparing for war. He had never thought he would be responsible for 20,000 lives heading into battle against an unknown enemy. His executive officer, Commander Lisa Park, stood beside him reviewing final systems checks. "Fleet reports ready on all channels," she said. "Crews are at stations. Weapons systems armed. Navigation has coordinates locked. We can jump on your order." Chen took a deep breath. He thought about Marcus Webb broadcasting until his final moment. He thought about 12,000 people who had died doing nothing more threatening than mining asteroids. He thought about humanity standing at a crossroads where the next decision might determine whether humans remained a free species or became prey for enemies they had never known existed. "All ships," he said into the fleet communication channel. "This is Admiral Chen. Today we begin something that should never have been necessary. We go to face an enemy that attacked us without provocation or mercy. We do not know if we will win. We do not know if we will return. But we do know why we're going." He paused, letting his words reach every crew member in the fleet. "We're going because 12,000 of our people were murdered. We're going because humanity will not accept genocide. We're going because someone needs to look these aliens in their eyes and make them understand that attacking humans has consequences. Today, we make them understand. Today, we show them what humanity truly is." The fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel in perfect synchronization. 50 human warships disappeared from normal space, carrying 20,000 soldiers toward a confrontation that would determine the future of humanity's place in the galaxy. Behind them, Earth waited and prayed and prepared for whatever came next.